Okay, folks, good evening. Tuesday evening edition here of more of the beginnings of the Byzantine project. And change the camera a little bit because one of the things we want to do is sorting figures. And matter of fact, let's go ahead and eliminate that. We have a little bit larger view here to see what's happening. But so Constantinian Byzantine, we're going to go deep now. It was kind of late when I got started yesterday, so I did not want to take on more than I could chew. That's what today's for, taking on more than I can chew. So we're going to turn here to the list, and we're going to sort all the figures. That's what I like to do, is sort the entire army from beginning to end. And that way, when we go to paint them, we've already made the decision. We've already made a competent decision on what figures we're going to use in the army. So we got Constantinian Byzantine. We have the command post that's going to consist of these figures that are right here. There are 4 Cavalry, which will also transfer and be part of the Komnenen list as well. That's 4 units of cavalry. We'll get to them in a second. We've got 1 unit that's Turkish, Alan, Pechneg, or Kuman, horse archers. Okay, so I believe this is my Seljuk Turk bag. I think that's what this is. And these are a bunch of figures here that I got at Historicon from, I don't remember what vendor it was, but they were purveyors of museum miniatures. And they happened to have all of these figures in packs. I think they were getting rid of them, and they were $1 a piece. So I stocked up, and I got plenty of them. So we're going to get some light horse out of there. I don't remember exactly how many are in the army, but these guys are specifically supposed to be Turks, mercenaries. This Constantinian list is a mercenary list, which might have been probably part of the problem that they ran into in some of the battles, is the guys just kind of left them hanging. So, you know, when you have mercenaries, you got to pay them well. You can't just be like, hey, come over and fight for us, but we'll pay you whenever we feel like it. They'll leave when you need them the most. So, we have some Seljuk Turk guys that are shooting arrows. These guys are more like cavalry, and there is a fair amount of cavalry in that Seljuk Turk army. So let's just sort this. Oh, these guys were not part of that. Okay, we don't need bowmen. Okay, here we go. Here's some light cavalry looking dudes. Okay, so this is 1 bag of them. I'm not sure if there's different poses. Some of these guys got smuggled in here. Also don't need them. This is one of my many Middle Eastern Muslim type things. Okay, these guys have even more armor and stuff on them. That's not what we're looking for them. These guys also have lances. Also not the guys we're looking for. I got plenty of figures here to do a Seljuk Turk army. All right, now here we go. Here is a figure that has a sword, and it's definitely light cavalry. And there's a code here, so we're going to find out what the hell those are called. More guys with the lances, more guys shooting arrows. Is it the same pose as this one? It is exactly the same. Okay. These are Rum foot. Seljuk foot. More guys with lances. More guys with bows. And more of these medium guys with bows. Okay, so we don't need the medium guys with bows. We have these light guys. And we have some guys with swords here. So we're going to go look and see what the code is for that. So we don't need any of these folks right now. I got these with a specific purpose of building a Rum Seljuk army. All right, so this is code. These are museum miniatures. This is code AC14, and these guys with the sword are code AC9. All right, so let's use the mouse. Do a little bit better with that. And let's minimize this and minimize this and give me another window. Museum miniatures. Let's see what they're called here. I bet these are under Dark Ages. And under, no, they must be under medieval. No. They're under classical. Seljuk, why are Seljuk Turks not under Dark Ages or medieval? That makes no sense. All right. So let's go over to the Cavalry. Okay, AC9 is considered Turkoman's General Mounted. Okay, and AC6 is Turkoman Cavalry Archer. That's what these guys are, right? No, these say they're 14. What the heck is code 14? Well, it says AC6, but it's the exact same pose. Okay, so it says this is an officer? He has kind of like a Mongol type hat. And he's got a bow and a little shield. These guys don't have a shield at all. All right, we're just going to use a couple guys with no shields. We want them to look really light, like the light horse. How many of these guys do we need in the army? One there. Nomad horse archers. There's another one. Another nomad horse archers. There's another one. Okay, so it looks like a total of 3. So 6 figures. All right. Let's go back to our screen. 6 figures. Ooh, nobody's on the night. Ah, that's all right. We got to do this anyway, so. So I'll put 6 figs of these light horse. I believe these come 4 to a pack. They do. And these are all the same pose. And I'm fine with that, actually. So I think we're going to build these guys in all options. At least that's what I'm thinking. Okay. Now the nice thing is these do look like light horse. They're very small. They're very, very small. Figure-wise. Okay, so we have our 4 light horse there. And unlike Essex, these guys balance really well on these stands. They have an extremely large stand. All right. So we got 6 of them. You have to have a Norman knight, and Norman or another cav, or a skirmisher. We already did them. Okay, so we need 2. Let me take a, well, I don't know where the hell my note-taking stuff is. We can just do that over here. We can do 6 knight Norman, okay? And then we're also going to need 6 meaning 2 stands of them. We need to have 2 stands of Armenian spear. Okay, so that's 8 Armenian spear. And I think the cavalry, and that's it. And an artillery piece, which we'll have to make. I'm actually looking forward to that. We're going to make that out of little matchsticks. Never done anything like that. Looking forward to it. All right, so we need to go grab the Norman blades, the Norman knights, and the Norman mounted knights, and the Armenian spear. The Armenians are in my Armenian pack. Somewhere here, I have a pack of Armenians, and I've got to sort through a whole world of stuff. This is Renaissance or something of the like. Even more Arabs. I'm not going to find them there. What's in this thing? Late medievals. Now I'm talking about is an entire bag of late medievals. This is museum miniatures. What the hell's in here? Oh, these are other Byzantines. These are like earlier Byzantines. Tabletops, scutatos, and things like that. I'm actually going to take them out of this box because we may roll into another Byzantine army afterwards. I don't know. I may not be able to stand it anymore. We'll see how this is. What's in here? This is Assyrians. Okay. What is in here? Odds and ends, and mostly some different flavored Arabs in here. Okay. That's what happens. I'll like pre-sort figures for an army, and something happens I don't get around to making them. Ah, yes, everybody's favorite, Mongoloids. This is a Mongol army I was going to build, and I will do a Mongol army at some point. I certainly have enough figures for them. Okay, here's the Normans. This is the bag of Normans, which is everybody's favorite out there in the UK. People in the UK apparently don't like Normans very much. What do we got in here? This is some more medievals. Medieval stuff. Okay? Looking for the Armenians. This is more Arabs and the like. I'm not sure why they're loose in there. We'll end up putting them loose back in there as well. Pretty sure the Armenians are all the way at the bottom. Late Romans. Zanj Revolt. See an elephant in there. These are successors. All these projects that I didn't do because I had the figures to do them, and then Mitch showed up, and he already owns those armies, so with limited amount of time, I'm going to do stuff that none of us have, instead of just building another army that someone in my play group that I already play with frequently already owns. I mean, there's no point in that. Feudal Spanish. The feudal Spanish 353 is in the books at some point. There's a bunch of medievals and stuff here too. I got lots of medievals. I think the Armenians are in a small bag. They're not in here. This is some flavor of Asian. I believe there's a bag something like this. This is Impies. This is an old glory pack of Impies. Goths. guys are German. Like Langschneck, stuff like that. More Mongoloids and Timurids and things like that. Alright, what did you overshot them, huh? No, I knew they were in here somewhere. I must have overshot them. This is, in fact, Goths. Okay, in a little bag, kind of similar to this. It's definitely Asians, which these guys are Asian too. We're going to with you all. I'm not in this container, this is something else. This is the Normans. They're not in here. Now, I'll just go through them again. If I don't see them, I'm just going to move on. We'll get them another day. We're not going to start painting the Armenian with the Armenian spear anyways. Hey, here's this Byzantine army. Why are you painting the Armenians first? You know? Kite Lyle, Gauls, Byzantines, tabletop game stuff. Not them. Assyrians. Arabs. Oh, this is the Byzantines guys, yeah. I'm not even gonna bother looking in here because they're definitely not in here. They were by themselves, so they might be in the other container. And yes, I do have another container of stuff. And this is like a workout trying to pick this thing up. For whatever reason, come on, for whatever reason, Armenians are not in here. Very strange. Very, very strange. Let's see what this has got. Let me see if by chance we'll take a look at that in a second. Let's get through the Normans. Who knows? Maybe they're even in this Norman bag. They don't belong in here, but... Alright, so let's take a look at the Norman figures. I had these guys a long time, and I had picked these guys up when I was doing my feudal Spanish, my first army, and I picked up every single figure pack that they made for the Normans because I was going to mix them in. Actually, Old Glory makes some Spanish Norman figures. They're even called that. And since then, I've actually picked up some of these guys. These are Baweda. Now, we do have guys to do a Norman army, even a Sicilian Norman army. So I don't want to take too many guys from here. This is all foot. We're just interested in 6 mounted figures. Bowmen with the funny haircuts. Those funny haircuts those guys had with the backs of their head shaven. He was on the way to Norman boot camp. Tabletop games. Norman Knight, we'll sit there. I don't care if they're. I would like to get 6 guys that are totally different. Okay, these are mounted folks. Foot. More foot. Mounted. More foot. More mounted. I don't have a problem with using tabletop game stuff. There's a few other guys. Oh, look, we have an Anglo-Norman army already made out. Wow, I had forgotten I had done that. I pre-sorted them. Yeah. Got them between glasses and stuff. Here's more foot troops. Foot. Two-handed swordmen, those Swabian dudes. And here we get into the Old Glory stuff. I'm probably not going to use the Old Glory guys. I'm going to leave them for the actual Norman army. We'll use the tabletop guys, which I ended up getting sent to me about a year ago. This may actually end up being like a couple poses, but that's fine. I don't have to pick horses for them then. Mr. Clay, welcome. Last ones here. Nope, that's it. All right, let's take all these guys and put them back. And of course, all the Old Glory horses aren't here. I think I've got a pack of something that's just a shit ton of horses. And the Old Glory horses are really large. And they look like something you don't want to step in front of. And here's some other Normans. Let's try using tabletop games for these 6 Norman knights. See what we're dealing with. Let's see what we got for poses and stuff and such. Why is this all crick-crocked? All right, let's try this. And let's go up. There we go. Oh, the other way. All right, so what do we have here? We got a pack here of knights, Norman knights with the lances overhead. Okay. We've got guys with lances overhead. NC3, NC4. Oh, these are Breton heavy cavalry. Do they even look different? They look like the same damn casting. One's not even more armored than the other one. This is NC3 and NC4. I don't see a difference. Okay. Who fell down here? Who thinks they're going to get off easy? we've got NRCO2 Norman. Okay, they have the couched lance. They're carrying it couched. All right, so that's two different poses. This is NC1B Knight. All right, how is that one different than this one? Is it different? I don't know that it is. That's strange that there's two different codes for the same damn figures. I don't think I've ever seen that before. These are... Look, the side that has the shield, does it look the same? It does, okay, well. What do we got here? Certainly got to have some guys with swords or something. Mounted with swords. There he is. Okay, here's a guy holding the lance upright. Boy, he has a fat face. Look at the screen and make sure that comes out okay. It doesn't, it's too bright. Anyways, he has a really fat face. Very cartoon-like. And this guy with a sword forward. Yeah, here we go. Let's see if we can see this guy. What else is in here? This guy has his lance upright. Is that the same as these? No. Okay. And he's different than this one. Okay. So far we got 4 poses. I don't want to use this guy with a sword. We may need him for a commander for something else. And there's not going to be a Norman commander in this army. So let's just hold on to these 2. So far I've got 4 different poses for the 6 knights. And then what's here? This is another couched lance, which is the same as this one here. Here's a guy with a flag. We're not going to use him because it is not a Norman command stand. And then what else do we have? More couched lances. All right. So we do this. We'll do 2 of the overhand, and then 2 of the couched ones, and then this guy and this guy. There's our 6 knights. And these are older figures, so we'll be able to do, hopefully, a good job of painting some of these older figures that nobody gives the time of day to. Like, oh, those are older figures, I don't want to play them. They've been around for however many years. Well, I get a thrill out of that. That's the guys I want to paint. I want to paint the guys nobody has any respect for and show you what you can do with them. And it's a one-piece horse casting, so that's another thing I don't have to deal with. So these are overhand. This guy's overhand. Let's get 2 of these couch guys. Couch potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and open this pack instead of using ones that were older because I have a feeling that the alloy in those is pretty bendy. All right, so here's our 6 Norman mercenary knights. Okay, now we got to look at the Armenians. We can put these guys away now. Those seem a little chunkier than Essex. They are. But the worst thing about the Essex are the horses. The bases on the horses are very minimalist. And what happens is they sometimes can break at the legs pretty easily. Yeah. Okay, so this is our 6 Norman Knights. What else do we need? We need those 2 stands of Armenian spear. Okay? All right. And you should have been in that. These should have been in that container. But they're not. They shouldn't be in there. This is the Renaissance box that I have. It's much, much smaller. They're in a little bag by themselves. They're not in here and they shouldn't have been in here, so I'm gonna have to look at them a little bit more carefully. They should be in this big container, but they are not. Now, I don't need to write this up. Now, this army has a ton of cavalry. 4 there, 5, 6, no, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I know I don't have 8 cavalry. I know for a fact I don't have 8 cavalry. Tell I've been dealing with stuff that's dusty already. Here's the light horse. We're going to leave them alone. Oh, I'm an idiot. These are the extra ones. These are the extras. The one I put in a box are the ones that actually go with them. Did this a couple of months ago and forgot where this box here, this Plano box, are the ones that are already pre-sorted. Okay, so here's the cavalry. These are the light horse. Now, these light horse are actually going to go in the Comnenian army. They're not going to be. There's no light horse that are Byzantine in the Constantinian list. So any light horse that we paint for the Constantinian are going to be that. Okay, these are already pre-sorted. We're not going to mess with that right now. We're going to keep these guys handy, but we're not going to mess with that. We're not going to start with those guys. All right, so let's begin. Let's take some discs. And screw these guys down, because we're going to have to paint this stuff black, prime it, before we can get to work on it. And since these spearmen are actually for the Comnenian list, I'm going to put them away. We're building the Constantinian and the two Comnenian lists all at the same time, but we're going to do the Constantinian one first. Why? I don't know. Got a command post. I want to see that thing in action. Another one, just like the Pope. Just going to take some of this stuff off. I don't want to get that sanding the file out, make a mess. I'm going to make enough of a mess with this. There's one. How many do we need? 6 for them and 6, so we need 12 discs. All right. I guess somebody who had a lot of like dental work done probably doesn't like this sound. Taking off the plaque. Nordic Maelstrom. Ah, crap. I knew you were going to be on. I would have come on sooner. How am I doing tonight? I'm doing great. I don't have a headache. I don't have a neck ache anymore. I'm doing great. Now that I took a shower, I'm no longer at work. I spent probably 3 hours, maybe more outside. Couldn't wait to come home and take a shower. One of those, it's like I could almost wring out my underwear and have 8 ounces of sweat. It's hot out there. One of the things I look forward to the most is coming home and showering. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jeez, there's a lot on this one. Oh, heavy plaque. Ah. Just so it sits flat. These horses all have decent bases, so this is going to be a lot less of a pain than when I did the Essex ones. Oh, that one's flat. Look at that. Need 2 more? I tried to find these again in the store. They're hard to find and really expensive just for wooden discs. We recycle everything though. No reason to throw this stuff away. They're just temporary basing. Okay. That's it, right? That should base everything. Let's get Mr. Vacuum Cleaner. I tell you, this is never going to make it out to the car. This is what the intent of this was. Raining here a little chilly. Chilly, what's that about? It's playing under 2 turns of Brazen Chariots. Not looking good for the British. Halfway through and they're stalled and mauled. Yeah, I'd be all right playing a game by myself. I'd probably film it. Problem is, I just don't have it in me to read the rules. You know, I don't mind board games. There's many of them that look really good. Are you a Are you a corner clipper? When I was into board games, I didn't know about corner clipping, or I would do it. I think it looks good. And there's a couple games that actually have been really tempting. There's one that I saw a review on. It's called like Devil Pig Games or Flying Pig Games or something Devil Games or something like that. And it's called Armageddon War. And it's kind of in the Near East, in the future, but not like a lot of time in the future, like probably like now. And they got terrorist stuff and Israeli and Americans and Russians and stuff like that. But I think the counters are, what looks really good is I think the counters are like this big. They're pretty big. And I just think it looks pretty cool. So I watched a review of how to play the game. And after watching a review of how to play the game, I'm like, nah, I really don't want it. No, I really don't want to play that. I wish they made more counter games on the computer. They can look the same. I mean, most counter games actually look pretty darn good. It's just the mechanics of, I want to play this scenario. Click, and everything's set up. Or better yet, it's saved so you can come back to it. So, for example, the lock and load game on computer, other than the fact that the last time I tried to play it with a couple people that I know, the multiplayer was way off. It couldn't talk to itself. It was like it'd get way out of sync and stuff. But other than that, that is a fine looking game on the computer. And it's a counter game, basically. So you're a corner clipper. I found out the right way about corner clipping and clip the counters for all my games. Your camera's moving ever so slightly. Yeah, it's got a case of a limp dick here. I don't really know what's going on here. Okay, you good? All right. Ever so slightly, yes. Mr. Ever so slightly. Rutabaga. And we had a couple of interesting new sayings we came up with over the weekend. Had one guy that, what was it that he was saying? He says, I don't want the Pope to touch me. No, I don't want the Pope to touch me. There was I played a game with, one of the events I ran a Papal Army, and the things that happened in that game were miraculous. Let's put it that way. I won't tell you about it because you won't believe me. But it just further reinforced the point that these guys are damn near flash free. You wouldn't believe me. But it just reinforced the point that I need to film every game I play. Because just some insanity stuff happens. So, crazy, crazy stuff. I don't want the Pope to touch me. It was one of those that I was down. I got the first kill. And then I lost the successive 3-1. I'm down 3-1. And then I proceeded to say, God wills it every time I needed a roll because he's being attacked and everything. And 3 times in a row, I rolled a 6, and the other person rolled a 1. It was unbelievable. Some people were getting disturbed. I'm not, because that's just bullshit. I love getting inside people's heads. So, I don't want the Pope to touch me either. That wouldn't go down well for the Pope. He's not that kind of Pope. This person was saying this because I just got done pulling a miracle and they saw it, and they were concerned that there was really some power to that guy. But I love getting in people's head, and they get all concerned about odds and shit like that. All right, here's these Normans, or as like they call them in the UK, the bad guys. I always prefer the army that has the cooler equipment, and honestly, Normans look pretty cool. You know? I think they look pretty cool. I like nasal helms. Not as cool as Corinthian helmets, but, you know, can't all be Greeks. There's one. May not use this guy. His face is extremely rustic. And he looks like he's got a beard or something, which the Normans at this time would not have. Yeah, we'll use them. I got plenty more figures out. Well, you're going to be incorrigible? Okay, 2 couched guys. So Luke has a Seljuk Turk army. So whenever I get this army done, I'm probably going to do a scenario for Manzikert. Just try my hand at it. I mentioned I'm going to probably go down that road more often than not. The scenarios that we played recently for the Punic Wars enlightened me to the point that this person, Connor, just invented shit. You know, there's just some stuff you just don't know. So he just came up with some plausible decisions, and I was able to do, you know, battles that were very vague in the history books and turned them into interesting scenarios. So I'm probably going to go down that road because there's just some information just is never going to be known. So if I wait around for it, it's never going to be enlightened and never going to be able to do the battle. So sometimes you just need to take an educated guess. Yeah, it's a slow night tonight. I'd like to at least get to the point where I'm cleaning these figures, we glue them, and then we'll prime them all black, and then we can stop for the night. I'm not really sure how long that's going to take. And I got to paint some. I got to play some 25mm DVA, and I enjoyed that a little bit more than I should have. Admit that my enthusiasm for miniature painting is taking a big hit since I started playing Hex and Counter war games. Uh-oh. It doesn't, scratch my creative streak. And I've got lots of Hex and Counter board games that I've bought and done nothing with. And it's pretty unsatisfying to just buy stuff and not do anything with it. Okay, that's them. And we already did. I've probably played maybe 5 miniature war games over the last decade. Oh dear. Well, if you don't have anybody around you, and I'm not sure if that's the case for you. It could be. I didn't have anybody really that I could play war games with in town for probably a decade. A very transient frickin' place here. All right, so we got some Normans here. We got some Seljuk Turk horsemen. All of these guys go on these stands. So start squirting super glue. Found some pretty interesting pictorial ideas for this army. So when we end up black basing these guys, we'll do these guys last. Figure by the time you get around to them, they're dried. All right, which one of the most flimsy rocking ones? We'll put the Seljuk Turk horse on there. That one's kind of flimsy. That one's kind of flimsy. I know other people use white glue and stuff like that, but I don't want to wait long enough for the white glue to settle. Pool for historical gamers around here is not great. Those that are around play rules I don't want to have anything to do with. I don't want to play just for the sake of playing. I'm in a transition period where I'm transitioning miniatures out for the most part, moving into scale model building, diorama, and vignettes over painting miniature armies. So you're going the opposite direction that I did. As I started doing that stuff and didn't have a big incentive to just build stuff just to build stuff. Hey, whatever works for you. Whatever keeps your juices going. All right. Well, this is all of the troops for this army except the cavalry and what else? And an Armenian spear. All right, so let's take these guys here. Bases. Actually, I'm going to check in with someone who came in, well, since I started, and I will be right back. Okay, let's get back here to. It took a little longer than I expected. Scale model building dioramas, and yes, scratch that painting itch. We'll still paint 6mm micro armor. But building armies for games I will never play just seems like a waste of time for me. Yeah, no point in playing, in doing that. I had somebody that I've known a while ago that I ran into the convention recently, and they wanted to talk me into running my World War II skirmish game. This is in about a year. And I talked to them probably for about an hour. Maybe it was only 45 minutes. And just basically explained, last time I ran it was in 2004, just before I got into DBA. And I promised I wasn't going to run it at a convention like that again, because it just takes too much time to explain the rules to people. I have no problem explaining things to people, but I don't want to waste my time and then the person doesn't show up to play ever again. So, it's not like we put on games and we get paid to do it, We still have to pay the same amount. And, if I'm going to make an investment in somebody's time, they need to show some interest in it as well. So, in a nutshell, I mentioned to him that the problem was I was trying to run a scenario. There's a set of scenarios for skirmish games that came out, a long time ago. Hell, it's probably 25 years ago, called skirmish campaigns. And they're very, very, very good. And they're not made necessarily for any particular... Always, every effing time, it's a design flaw. And this, walking around with a dirty thumb. And I ran a game out of one of them. It was relatively small. It was maybe 2 squads and supporting units. Maybe it was more than 2 squads and supporting units for the attacking Germans, and the defending Americans had squad and a half or something like that. Custom terrain, everything. But you had live players on both sides. And the problem with that is that you spend a lot of time, hey, let me ask you something. So you have to get pulled off to the side while everybody's waiting. And I'm like, if I'm going to run it again, everybody's playing on one side. Everybody's going to play on one side because you can just ask questions openly. At least until people play the game like 10 or 15 times, and then we can split up, So I told him, I said, I got plenty of Germans painted, and I've got some French resistance fighters. The way to do it would be have everybody play French resistance fighters, which means I got to paint about a dozen figures, which is actually not that bad. So I told him, I said, I got a year to paint about a dozen French resistance figures that I can do in between projects here. And if I get around to doing that, maybe we'll get some World War II watchers, people that are into World War II stuff. But it's not 28 millimeter. I don't do 28, and I certainly wouldn't do 28 World War II. I don't mind 28s and some stuff, but I wouldn't do 28 millimeter World War II. I got so many 20s, and I really like them in 20 millimeter because you can use matchbox cars, you could use all kinds of stuff. So if I get around to painting those dozen figures in a year, then we may think about running that. But I don't want to commit to something right now. I don't like saying, hey, I'm going to do something and then I don't do it. And I also don't want to be held hostage. So I said, I'll give it a shot. We'll think about it. And, you'll know if we're going down that direction if you see me painting 20s. I've got plenty of 20s. I probably have 500 20 millimeter figures. Maybe not 500, 300. And they're all different poses. Every single person is different, so they can have a different name on them and everything. And I really like that game, but it runs slow, and it's fine. It just means you can't use a ton of different things. You can't just be like, hey, let's play a skirmish game. What am I running? 4 tanks. No, that's not a skirmish game. That's be lucky to have one vehicle that's that's like that. Oh, we'll see. I told him we'll. It's about a year away when he's trying to put on this new game convention here nearby. That's the problem with putting on games at conventions. I'd hate to run a self-made set of rules and get people interested and not have a product to sell to them. Well, the set of rules I have, I didn't create. Somebody else created, but they're out of print, so I won't be able to sell them the rules. But I don't care that. Are you willing to play? You're willing to play the game. So the good news is, if I do get it off the ground, I have a feeling that Mitch and company would really like it. But we got to keep it small. But that's what it's about. It's about creating, not simulating the whole Second World War, but creating a narrative, an interesting narrative. So, should run this scene from The Great Escape. I haven't seen The Great Escape. Believe it or not, I've never seen it. Where James Coburn is at the French cafe and the resistance rolls up and machine guns the Nazi officers down that were there. No, I don't want to recreate that. I've got, if you ever played a game called Pig Wars, there's several guys that used to run it at conventions here in our local conventions, our local-ish conventions, the one we just went to in Orlando. And the premise of it is it's a skirmish game that people have all kinds of different objectives. So you could have different French resistance fighters, and some of them might be communist, and some of them might not be. And there was, that was a problem with the French resistance, is that the Allies were dropping them weapons and stuff like that, so they can disrupt the German supplies and basically the infrastructure, so that when the Allies landed in Normandy, they would, they'd be tripping over themselves and wouldn't be able to react quickly. Well, what they were finding is that all of the different factions of the French, where there was, Free French, there was anarchists, communist, right wing, left wing, all kinds of different things, were using the weapons to fight themselves. They were fighting each other. So that was interesting. I didn't actually know about that. So you may all be on one team, but you may have specific objectives. And I don't think it's going to be to the point where you have to kill your other teammates, but score things differently. So we'll see. Just food for thought. It might be cool because I haven't done World War II stuff in a long time, and I have a great interest in that period. And this guy's fully bearded like a frickin' gnome. Long hair, hippie gnome. And might be interesting to do. So I'm not going to bother. I'm going to do it in the correct order. I'm not going to read the rules and realize and learn how to play them again. I'm going to get some troops painted. And if I get around to getting the troops painted in a year, which isn't really that big of a tall order, it's 12 figures in a year. They take a little bit longer than 15s, but not that much. Then we'll move on to the next step. The biggest problem is I'm supplying something where I'm supplying all the figures, and I'm going to be concerned about people mistreating my figures. And that is a concern for me, because shit happens, and whether it's done on purpose or not. But I'm a little bit more controlling. You can control damage to your figures a lot better in DBA than you can in just about any other game. So. Well, the problem with the U-boat pen is, remember, I got to paint all the terrain. So I don't want to go and build U-boat pens or stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, but we'll see. I'm not too worried about the scenario. I need to get the stuff painted first. So, but he did get my juices going, and Actually, I pulled out my French resistance fighters probably a couple months ago and was looking through them. But if you ever think about what kind of World War II stuff I like to do, and I've done different kind of stuff, the World War II miniature stuff that I want to do, it focuses on, if you want to think of the scale that I'm interested in, or the simulation is, think of grenades, okay? And just think of grenades, and when you think of grenades, think of that I want to play a system that it's important to pinpoint where the grenade lands, okay? And a lot of games just kind of abstract that out, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in, you know, specifically you throw a grenade like through a window, and it doesn't land in the window. Well, where does it land, and what effect does it have when it lands in a place that you weren't expecting it to? Creating those movie moments and the zany, we'll call them 6-1 splits of reality, and the stuff that goes along with it, because that's always the kind of stuff that I always like to model in a war game. So it's definitely doable if everybody's only running 3 or 4 guys. So I could see somebody running 3 or 4 guys, 4 people playing, running 3 or 4 guys kind of thing. So, and as many games as I've played with Mitch, we haven't really played any World War II stuff. So. Anyhow, to be continued. Just yammering about it. But I don't want to sabotage this game, because that's kind of what got me thinking about what you said is, anything I paint for this DBA is going to get used, and it's going to get used multiple times, and it's going to be in videos, and it's a good use of my time. Unlike, you know, building a plastic model, or like you said, building something for another game. You know, if I was going to paint figures for, say, what's that game that Mitch really likes? Maurice. It's getting into another period that it's going to be a long time before I can play. And as you said, you can't be into everything. And it's absolutely right, you can't. Okay, these guys are all painted black now. Cue the Rolling Stones, painted black. The opening scene of Tour of Duty. Remember that show? Was that a CBS show that came out in the late 80s, I think? Tour of Duty. I wasn't even into Vietnam stuff, and I think I watched that a little bit. What is Mitch's favorite historical period, assuming he has one? I don't know. To be honest with you, I really don't know. He had ancients before when I didn't have any. He had a ton of ancients when he came into town, and he had a he likes Napoleonic stuff a lot. He has a lot of Napoleonics. If it's based on the miniatures he had, it would be ancients and Napoleonics. I'm not into Napoleonics at all. The group of folks that played Napoleonics when I was younger just looked like they just weren't having any fun. And because of that, I never really took to it. And you know, too many of the stuff from the outside, until you get into detail, looks like a lot of the armies would be just a lot of the same thing over again, you know. And I had mentioned to Mitch one time, I said, when he really liked Maurice, I said, what did you think if I would get, because Joel's painting stuff for Maurice, and he's specifically doing Mulburian period, which I'm not interested at all. If I did something, I would do 7 Years' War, and I would do Austrians, Prussians, and Russians. So I talked to him, and I said, what do you think about me doing that? And he said, well, it just kind of turns into the same game. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, you got 2 opposing lines shooting at each other. You create an opening or a weak spot, and then you get in a column and try to exploit it and break through. And when I started thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, it's every battle is going to be almost the same. And I'm like, well, you know what? This really isn't for me. I'm probably just stick to doing the ancient stuff. So I kind of talked myself out of it because I could already kind of see how everything was going to go. And I've played 3 games of it, and it's a great game, but let's just say I enjoyed the first game a lot more than I enjoyed the last one I played. And it wasn't because of winning or losing or anything, but it's almost kind of like the surprise factor, the newness of it had just disappeared, you know. So I'm probably going to be able to stay away from that pretty successfully. It's not going to be difficult to say no. But here's Rick's favorite guy, the guy that blows. The guy that blows the horn. Little boy blue. He needed the money. Oh, he's got a cape. Whoa, important guy. And there he is. When is the last time I fielded my Rajputs? Oh, I don't know, about 6 months ago. I could look. I don't want to. Don't make me look at my stats right now. I know exactly when it was. I got to go look at the stats. Probably about a year ago, something like that. I knew Tony was on the horn blower, so I showed up. He looks like a cool figure. And you know what? I'm going to paint him first when it comes to the command post. We'll paint him just for you first. He's cool. I've painted a guy with a horn before. I don't remember which one he is. And it's cool because you get to paint something that's like bright. You know, bright and shiny. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I guess you could have a rusty trumpet, a rusty trombone. I guess you could have an instrument that isn't polished, but, you know. That guy's got one job to do. The guy with the rusty trombone. I don't even remember what that is anymore. It's something inappropriate or not something nomenclature I use, but go on Urban Dictionary and look it up. But yeah, I'll probably paint that guy first because he's cool looking. This flag is going to have a stylized cross on it. It's going to have a cross that is going to look something like that. And I believe it has a little something on the corners. I've seen one in a dark color and like gold for the cross. Excuse me. Carbonation. Dark gold, really dark color, like a dark blue or a purple. Probably not purple because the emperor is going to have plenty of purple on him. But something like that. And yeah. That's this guy right here. The Bannerman. And I'm going to try to paint the Emperor the way I've seen it. And it's going to be a challenge because I think he's going to be just way over the top. I mean, he's got like red boots and stuff like that. And I mean, it's just going to be hard to pull it off. So, and not look dorky. You know, when it looks dorky in the illustrations you see of it, and then you have to paint it, and you're like, man, it's going to look dorky as well, isn't it? Remember not to toot your own horn. I don't want the Pope to touch me. So you're giving me permission to toot the horns of others, or must I remain hornless? Absolutely. Yeah. Rusty trombone references during a 15mm historical paint session was not on my Tuesday bingo card, but here we are, exactly. You could think about tooting, and you could talk about tooting, but you can't do the actual tooting. Now you want to watch Smokey and the Bandit. I haven't seen parts of that since I was a kid. Not a fan of Burt Reynolds. Yeah. I haven't seen parts of that movie since probably 81. What's the plot of that? Isn't the plot of that movie to run beer or something like that? Like, why would you have to run beer? It's not in the 30s where it's illegal. Explain that to me. What's the problem with the beer? Why is it illegal to run frickin' beer? Doesn't make any sense. Was it through some dry states or something like that? Were there dry states in the 70s? That's just sad. That's really sad. Yep, you never know what we're going to talk about here. I guess maybe that's a good thing. We'll do the hornblower first. The spearman, emperor, of course, is last. We got to do weird shit, like we got to paint like him red boots, man. That's going to be hard to pull off. I mean, I can pull it off. I just don't know if it's going to look right, because I've seen illustrations and it still doesn't look right. You know? All right, these guys are little horses. Seljuk mercenaries. I know who got the great idea of let's hire these guys as mercenaries and then use them to fight people whose country is from the country the mercenaries are from. Like if I'm fighting Seljuk Turks, I don't want Seljuk Turk mercenaries because they're likely to turn on you in the middle of a battle. Not that anything like that's actually happened in real life. That was one of the problems this army had. Rick laughing himself stupid and check off my list of things to do today. I think it was illegal to transport beer over certain state lines. Not sure why that was. Never bothered to look it up. That is just stupid. That's a good thing. Keeps your live sessions entertaining and different. They are. I could put it on there. We're going to paint and we're going to talk about things that are going to make people uncomfortable and inappropriate sometimes. I had one guy that reviewed one of my videos towards the beginning and he said, "Hey, how come you dropped the F-bomb?" I said, "Because I do it in real life. And I have no problem with cussing. We don't need to cuss at each other. But the Emperor thinks he can just not get painted? What's up with that? Don't cuss at people, but, for emphasis, absolutely." It's just like real life, just electronic. We make fun of everybody here, as we should, as everybody should, and that's how that's how we're in the current state that we are with everything. Everybody's gets upset about everything. That and they don't know who their daddy is. No, we laugh and we have fun about things, and when weird things happen in a game, you want to bring them up. All kinds of fun stuff happens here. We need to That's the fun part. That's the part I enjoy. I've played games in the past with people that they only want to laugh about things when it happens to you and not them. You know, sometimes your boys don't want to listen to you, and you know, all you can do is just laugh and throw your hands up. Rick, I saw a Bronco today. I'm sorry, a Jeep. And I'm trying to think what edition it was. It was red. I didn't really like it. I liked your blue one better. It had a little like logo, like a little patch, because I know there's all kinds of different editions of it. And they all kind of have their own little plaque on the vehicle as well of what edition they are. I can't remember what it was. Didn't look great in red. The blue, it looks better in the blue. I'm not a fan of red vehicles anyways. But I guess people are getting them slowly. That guy's done. I want to do some Normans. I want to do a Norman. Definitely want to read some first subscribe to Tony despite having never played DBA. Yeah, you can learn some cooking tips from me. No. I don't play DBA, don't even paint. Subscribe basically first time I watch one of the battle reports, one of the best decisions I ever made on YouTube. We have a hell of a time, don't we? We really do. Subscribe after watching a couple of the older DBA battle videos, then got to interact on live chats, and I look forward to live chats. Well, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your company as well. You hate playing against people who don't want to have a good time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of those people. You got to laugh at the dice no matter what. Yeah. That's true. It's fun to interact live and not just the normal comment section. My dinner should be ready in 8 minutes. Not getting here fast enough. Flipping hungry. It's a late dinner. Man. Yep. Uh-oh. Missed a piece of flash. Yeah, my normal eating schedule is 5 a.m., 11, and then as soon as I get home. So I guess it's close to 5, 11, 6. So I eat as soon as I wake up. It's my reward for surviving the night. So one of the guys that I got to meet this weekend, Randy Collins, he's been on the show here. He watches. The one person that I game with that watches pretty regularly. He's a painter, which is always nice, and he brought some of his troops to play in the tournament, and he actually took the reins off of the horse and rebuilt them with copper wire. So in other words, he scraped all these. Oh, I didn't realize I wasn't in the picture. I'm sorry. He had scraped all of this stuff off and rebuilt it with the wire. I mean, I thought the reins was far enough, and he also did bowstrings and the arrows as well, which I know that sounds crazy, but it's not that crazy. I've seen it before, but man, the reins, it looked good. I mean, I don't need to find other methods to take even longer on my painting. But he definitely was thinking outside the box, and that was pretty cool. I know somebody makes fun is going to make fun of me, but man, I don't know how you spend the time of putting the reins. Well, that's nothing. At least I don't replace them on horses. No, it looked good. It looked good. So, hey, this creative stuff is definitely a form of therapy for a lot of us. So, it's not a race. Doesn't matter that you're not done the quickest you can. You know, they'll get around when they get around to. Now, interesting thing, there was two things that I painted specifically for this convention. Well, not specifically for this convention, but the intention of using them in the convention. And that was the baggage element, those little horses, including those 4 small horses I have on the stand. And also the Polish allies for my Moldavians. And when it got down to play in the event that they were able to play in, the open tournament, I forgot. And I ended up using the Pope instead. So I ended up painting those guys and not even using them. I even took them on the trip and they never did anything with them. So I didn't play the baggage and collision course because I was in a lot of pain on Saturday morning. So I let Mitch run with it. They had an even number of players. So I got to remember to travel with a pillow. Bring my pillow with me. I've turned into an old woman. But I guess I'm used to a pillow that's firmer. And that soggy-ass pillow that I spent the night with just ended up hurting me the next day. I ended up pinching something in my neck, and it took all weekend for it to finally get resolved. So and I got to travel with a pillow like an old beat-up woman. Wish I could have eaten schedule with the digestive issues. It becomes more of an eat when my intestines tell me I can go. We'll be back in about 5 or so minutes. Okay, cool. We'll talk all about you. Nordic Maelstrom. Still a good name for a band. Unless it's like easy listening. Then it wouldn't be, wouldn't be a good name. Got a chance to play in a tournament with some 25mm figures. I enjoyed it a lot more than I should have. I stood up the whole time. It was a 4-foot by 4-foot table. So I stood up the entire time and got to roll dice across the table because it's a big table, kind of like a craps table. So that was fun. And as always, doesn't mean I'm going to paint some 25mm figures. I don't have time for that. I don't have anything against them. And just to prove that I'm not going to paint any, I normally, after I have a really cool experience, I'm always like looking up who makes figures for this or who makes figures for that, and I didn't do that. So I'm pretty much cured of getting involved in that scale, regardless of how fun it is. So I ended up using somebody let me borrow an Anglo-Norman army, or as they call them in the UK, the bad guys. Everybody thinks the UK thinks they're bad guys, but the people that like to voice their opinions a lot definitely think they're the bad guys. And the latest from newcomers to the easy listening scene, Nordic Maelstrom. That's right. Easy listening. Elevator music. Actually, they call it elevator music, but I don't remember the last time there was music in an elevator. I can't believe I can imagine when that would have been. They don't have them in hotels. So I know somebody that, and I forget who it was a while ago. They're like, I can't watch your videos, sit there and watch the whole damn video. I said, I don't expect people to just sit there and watch my video while it's happening. That would be boring as shit. But, you know, if you're cleaning your house or you're doing something, whatever, just think of it as like talk radio. I used to listen to talk radio all the time until it was just turning into bullshit and politics. And I don't particularly want to listen to any of that. So what's left? I don't listen to sports talk. So I enjoy listening to stuff through YouTube because you never know it's kind of like a call-in show but not, and I'm not smart enough to be able to do stuff like that. I don't have the correct programming to be able to handle some of that technology stuff. As a matter of fact, there was a couple of years ago I'd heard of that program that you can use that people can talk to each other on the computer, but it's multiple people. I forget what it's called. Not Twitter. What is it? Like the radio channel. Anyways, like, hey, come to channel so and so, and we can have our discussion about this game or whatever. I forget what it's called. Anyways, I couldn't get it to work. And then after I did, then I couldn't turn it off. I'd constantly like have all these conversations be going on, and I had left like the group or whatever. I forget what the hell it was called. But people use it all the time, and I just don't think it's very user friendly. And that's one of those things about technology stuff. If it's not very user friendly, I'm not particularly interested in it. As you fumble and you make a bunch of mistakes and stuff like that doing it. It's like a communal phone call. I don't know what the hell it's called. As soon as I say it, everybody knows what it is. I just don't remember. I don't remember what it's called. But anyways, it took me forever to turn that thing off because it was going off at weird times during the day. I'd be like, hey, 20 people are on, or whatever the hell it was. I'm like, man, I only needed it so I could communicate with somebody in the middle of playing a game. What's that thing called, Rick? You know what it is. I just can't think of what it's called right now. Couldn't get it to work. Normally. I imagine it's not how it's made to work, where you can't ever sign out of the damn thing. This is one of my least favorite parts of painting is putting this on. But if I spray paint it, I'm still going to have to come in and brush it. Okay. These guys are taking over my workspace. And back myself into a corner. All right, I need some liquids. Be right back. I'm gonna keep letting it run. Be right back. One, two, three. Got 6 guys left. Let's rinse this a little bit. There's my paper towels. Little goes a long way. Stuff's pretty resistant to coming off your hands and everything. I got it on my fingers. I'm gonna take some scrubbing getting it off. Man, I can't. That's going to drive me crazy what that thing's called. It's one of those things that you sign in and everybody's talking on it. It's almost like a communal like radio station and everybody's on it. So it's like, there'll even be games like, hey, our such and such group for this is called such or another. I can't remember what the hell it's called, but it seemed like a good concept in practice, but man, in reality, it was like I couldn't turn the thing off, or there'd be people that just be rattling off there and doing stuff and talking over other people. And you're easy listening. Yeah, you're easy to listen to. What's the easy listening music equivalent these days? I don't know jack shit about current music. It's just not that important to me anymore. It's just not that important anymore. Yep. Nordic Maelstrom, good band name. Yeah. You could even pull it off even if it was like holiday music. Okay, because you could do some heavy holiday music. Yep, absolutely. What's that thing called Nordic where you could sign into a channel? Like you've got some game group or something like that, and it'll be like, hey, check us out. We have this channel, and it's a channel you can go on the internet, and it's got no graphics on it, but you just like listen to people talk all the time. So like if you got a bunch of teammates for something, they could sign into the whatever this channel is, and people can talk to each other. It's almost like a radio station, but it's like with everybody talking at once at the same time. And there's like different rooms and stuff for it. What in the hell is that called? I can't remember. I was just talking about it. I used it one time and I could never sign out of it. Like I was like stuck anytime I went, people would be like talking constantly. I'm like, nah, just shut up. I don't need to talk to you right now. I'm not getting ready to play a game. I forget what the hell that's called. But that was not very user friendly at all. Man, I can't remember what the hell that shit's called. Sounds like something that would go along with like Reddit or something like that. Discord, there we go. That's what it is. I didn't think Discord was useful at all. It created too much discord. Maybe it's maybe it has a very proper name. Yeah. Join us on our Discord channel. I got on there one time. I couldn't figure out how to turn that shit off. Next thing I know, I had people like talking all the time. Like, get me out of here. It was a lot like junk mail. It was like a lot like junk email. Every time you turn around, there was something new, or you're getting distracted by, hey, look at this over here, and it was something you weren't even interested in. Discord. This one. This one or this one? This one. Yeah, I never got into that. Never got into Twitter and shit like that. I don't need to follow people. I'm not a twatter. Yeah, it's looking to be, let's say, time to go to bed, but it's only 9. I am tired. Old Discord. Only use YouTube. Be a cold day in hell before I use Twitter or Facebook. I think Facebook's great for our hobby. I don't have to get involved in controversial shit on there. Twitter's too difficult to use. The absolute worst thing about Facebook, in my opinion, for me, is I'll see something cool in the morning, and I'll also see multiple things that are cool in the morning, and I want to click on all of them so they can take me down a rabbit hole. But you can only click on one. So I click on one, go down the rabbit hole a little bit, and I hit the back button so that I can go back and take, the next track of the other ones that I wanted to check out. And on my page, it doesn't take me back to those same things. Like already what was shown on my page in the morning has changed. And if I don't make an effort to remember to glance at what particular one of my pages I decided to see that link or that comment or a video or something that I found particularly interested, there's sometimes almost impossible to go back and find it. So that is what I do not like about Facebook. at all. Is you'll see lots of cool things, and then the back button doesn't take you really back, because what was shown to you is no longer available. It's just, you know, or it's gone somewhere else. So as far as the politics and stuff, I don't really get involved in that stuff on the Facebook or on the Facebook stuff, and of course Twitter is just following your hero, and since I don't have any, you know, there's nobody I need to follow. Instagram's one that's a pain in the ass, because you can't post pictures on there. They have to be completely square, and I'm like, well, sometimes the square one, just you have too much meat around certain places and it's too squashed on the other ones. So damn constraining. I use Facebook. I use Facebook Messenger a lot. I don't use personal email at all. I think it's too clunky. And you'd think it would be useful, like, hey, let me get multiple people on this email, but they don't look at your response. And everybody, next thing you know, is you've got this thread where nobody's listening to each other, and everybody's just trying to discover the wheel for the first time, putting it into operation. Got this horse to do and one more, and then we're done for the night, because honestly I'm falling asleep and wake up that early. But last one. So this can definitely be a mounted mayhem army where you have to have at least 9 mounted elements. Okay, I'm about done with this guy. Time to get out the air horn. Maybe I'll prep some miniatures tonight. There you go. Okay, folks. Well, that wraps us up. Look at these. We got all these black painted guys on here. That should keep me busy for a while. It's pretty much everything except the cavalry and the Armenian spear. So, anyhow, we'll catch you guys soon. And